Maricopa County, the fastest growing county in the United States. We're here at Jay Page's Jiu-Jitsu studio, and we're going to be interviewing Jay right here. He's going to give us a little tour real quick of his studio, and then we'll have a couple of questions for him. Come on in.
Hey guys.
Tell us a little bit about your studio.
So basically this is a lobby. Have this area just for parents and kids to hang out while their kids or their parents are training.
Okay.
But this is one of 3 mats that we have here that we do hold classes in. Sometimes we'll have 3 classes running concurrently at the same time,
Yeah.
but that's usually in the evenings. But our main training area is right here.
Is this where the competition?
Well, most of the classes are held here. We do hold tournaments here as well. We have a third mat area over here as well, and a little workout area in the back over here. So we have a little over 5,000 square feet of mat space. So, but like I said, we'll have multiple classes going on at the same time. So the whole building itself is a little over 8,500 square feet. So we have bathrooms, showers, video games for the kids while they're waiting for their parents to train. So.
Is it mainly, are your clients mainly children, or is
No,
it a mixture?
actually, it's mainly adults.
Oh, okay.
I want to say maybe 20 to 25% of our student base are kids.
So let's get into the interview. I'm actually a realtor, so why do you think it's crucial for female real estate agents to learn Jiu-Jitsu in regards to self-defense? And
I think it's not just for realtors, but just women in general.
Yeah,
Should always know how to protect themselves.
exactly.
And even men, kids, everyone has the right to defend themselves.
Right.
But for a realtor's job, especially for women, you're alone with people you don't know at times. You can't always have someone with you all the time when you're showing a house,
Yes.
and you don't know that person from the stranger walking down the street. So you don't know what could potentially happen if they have some ulterior motive to seeing that house. So being able to defend yourself if the need arises is always going to be super important because of the fact that you're by yourself. And women are always going to be naturally smaller, most of the time at least, than men. There are going to be physical attributes that men could take advantage of when taking advantage of a female. So being able to know how to negotiate certain situations, positions, and negotiate somebody else's body and weight to get out of harmful situations is always going to be paramount. So Jiu-Jitsu is, again, I'm being biased, will probably be your best tool for that.
Why is that? Is it because a lot of the fights end up being on the ground? Or?
Because it does, that's not entirely the fact of the matter, but the simple fact of the matter that you know how to control somebody's weight.
Okay.
It's not, or you'll be easily to defend it and prevent it from even going to the ground.
Okay.
You'll learn to understand weight distribution, angles, leverage.
I see.
There's a lot of physics involved in geometry, and learning how to shift weight to one side or the other could mean the difference of life and death. So there's a lot, and it's not something that happens overnight. I know they have other martial arts groups out there that will teach women self-defense classes, but realistically you can't do that and become proficient and be able to defend yourself in just one 3-hour class.
Yeah.
It's impossible, and anyone that tells you otherwise, they're lying to you. It's the jiu-jitsu is ongoing learning process of how learning the human anatomy, what it can and can't do, and how it moves. Because everyone moves different. You will approach each body differently, and there are so many different physical attributes that dictate certain situations, and you don't learn that in one day or one class or 1 week or even 1 month. You know, so with that said, with jiu-jitsu, what sets jiu-jitsu apart from other martial arts is that we pressure test the technique that we work on a regular basis. Meaning, we take the technique we learned and we try to use it in a live scenario.
Okay.
So, where most martial arts are more theoretically based, jiu-jitsu is more reality-based in the sense that we're constantly trying to use it against a resisting opponent. And that is where the learning comes in of knowing how to manipulate the human body.
Okay.
And that's where it would come into play for women, because you use technique over strength and size.
So do you have classes that are geared towards just women?
Yes.
Oh, great.
Yeah, my wife, she's one of my black belts. She's actually my first black belt.
Wow.
And she runs all the women's classes here for us.
Oh, nice. What
Yeah.
days does she teach?
Mondays and Wednesdays, and we're also going to be adding a Friday evening class as well.
Okay. So Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays for women classes.
At 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
Okay. Oh, and a little bit about yourself. Can you
Yeah.
tell your background? What caused you to start these classes? Were you bullied as a child? Is that something that made you want to learn jiu-jitsu?
I wish it was a cool story like that, but it was more just because I was horrible at sports. I could kick the crap out of things. I could fight, but it's not a cool story. But I grew up, I was born in Brooklyn, and I grew up going to a Catholic school, and we didn't have sports.
Okay.
So I didn't grow up like most kids playing sports, because my parents were immigrants at the time from the Philippines, and they were just working to make ends meet and didn't have time, because they were working so much to really put me in sports. But my dad, he did martial arts in the Philippines when he was growing up, and then so I kind of just followed suit and got into it. And when we moved to California, I was still young, but I was never good at ball sports. I couldn't dribble a ball, couldn't shoot a basket, couldn't catch a ball. I was afraid to hit a ball. I could kick a ball, but I was still bad at it. But but martial arts is something I always excelled at.
Yeah.
So it just happened. I mean, I did get bullied when I was little, because I was the outsider, little Asian kid. But it's just, kids are mean.
Yeah.
And,
they can be.
And I wish I knew back then what I know now about what martial arts does and can do for you, especially for kids. You'll see, like in most martial arts schools, they'll have like a list of things that it'll teach you, but they don't explain how it teaches you.
Okay.
What like jiu-jitsu, at least for me, and martial arts was finding the little successes in training helped me build my confidence. Made me become a more confident person, walk taller.
Yeah.
I don't walk with my head down. And it also taught me how to redirect hostile situations,
Okay.
It's just like jiu-jitsu could be applied, just like the whole a lot of concepts in jiu-jitsu could be applied to so many different things in life.
Yeah.
And again, it's not something that you learn. It's just something that naturally happens, a natural occurrence of just doing jiu-jitsu. The little successes you find, the friends you make, just getting better at certain things within the martial arts or jiu-jitsu just helps boost that confidence level, and just the confidence alone that you develop will seep into so many other parts of your life that'll increase, maybe you work, you do better at work or do better at school because you're more confident, you're more attentive, you're having a better time with certain things. And so like I said, I wish it was a cooler story, like some kid beat me up. And
it's a pretty good story.
I wish, but I was like, I was thinking, why can't it just been just like the Karate Kid story, walk in and had a Mr. Miyagi or something? But unfortunately, that's not the case. I just sucked at sports.
Well, I do too. How long has this studio been open, and how long have you been teaching?
So this location, we've been here for almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years in July.
Okay.
But I've been teaching since 2007, January 2007. Started out small, and just every move, we were busting at the seams, and we just had to get a bigger spot. Yeah. And it's pretty much how we just slowly progressed. So just put together a good business, was a good teacher. People came, and people, I guess, liked me enough to stay, and now we're here. So, but yeah, it was a process. But it's something that I wouldn't change for anything. I did the whole go to college, get your degrees. Looking back, do I regret it? No.
What was your degree?
So I have an undergrad degree in back-end web development, so programming or computer science. Okay. And I have my MBA in marketing.
Oh, that's very good. Well, the marketing helps.
It does. But the programming stuff is like it helps because I'm a little more computer savvy than most other owners, where they have to hire out, but it's still a pain. But it's I don't regret going to the school because it did help. But most of everything I've done business-wise has been learned actually doing it. Yeah. The schooling, it gives you a base, which is very important. But then the actual real learning is when you're out of school and actually in the trenches working. So
that's an important story for a lot of entrepreneurs. I feel like we encounter that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's like regardless of the subject matter or degree or whatnot, like even doctors, they go to school for the base of their education, but they don't really learn their craft until they get into like their internships or their fellowships. And that's why they spend so much time a lot of time in that stage of their schooling, because it's a very important stage of the educational process. So it's just failing, just doing the work and failing at things, making expensive decisions that failed. It's all the learning process, and that's why I don't regret it. I don't regret going to the school for it. All of it happened. I'm where I'm at for a reason. Had I started earlier or tried to open up something earlier, I might have failed and might not have a successful business.
What do you feel like is your biggest hurdle that you've overcome while starting this business?
Having to learn things on my own and find out the hard way of what works and what doesn't, because a lot of it's very expensive. I just kind of went into it really thinking I knew what I needed to do, but I didn't. And I had a lot of failed relationships with friends go under because of business. But I think that was just a lot of the hurdles I had to overcome was just the actual learning process of it. I didn't realize how much work or how hard it was going to be. I thought it was, I just go teach people, give me money. I thought it was as easy as that. But there's there's so much on the back end that people don't see as a business owner that make you want to tear your hair out. So
what do you feel like is a core system within your business that kind of keeps everything in line that's integral to
So there's three, sorry. A good software management system in place to help you manage the clients. You know, I know I've heard of people doing things by hand. It's horrible. Okay, and that management system also ties into banking and helps collect the money and so on and so forth. The second is the marketing. The marketing part is something that I feel a lot of other businesses in my industry or like my school really, really lack. A lot of these other schools could be so much bigger and better if they really did their due diligence in marketing their schools or their businesses correctly or effectively. Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, a lot of there are schools that are out there that do it, but they're always going to be failing in one of these three areas. And the third area is just the basic relationship. Yeah. You know, relationships with business relationships and your student relationships. Yeah. You know, yes, they're a customer. Yes, they're a client. But they're also someone that over time you share the mats with on a day-to-day basis and develop that relationship. Yeah. So the way I look at my students, I look at them as my friends and family. And they're not they're staying because they like the facility, the instruction, and they like me. Most people, like if anyone's done any degree of sales work, you know, you might not be the cheapest, but you'll always have a customer come to you because they like you. Yeah. Most customers will be more than willing to pay a few extra dollars for your hamburger because they like you.
Right. And that applies to real estate too, and
exactly.
a lot of other fields. Yeah,
it's all relationship. You know, all about relationships and nurturing those relationships. Even at the beginning stages of the sales process, you have to nurture that lead. Exactly. It's not a wham bam thank you ma'am kind of thing. It's a process that a lot of people don't understand, and I think that's what when it comes to relationships that people don't really understand is that yes, that person's a number. But at the same time, that could be your next best friend. Right. You know, you never know. So it's just you always want to treat everyone like they're your best friend. That way, you do that, you'll always be guaranteed that you'll have a customer for life. And if they have to leave for whatever reason, they'll always come back. You know, and I just think it's another part of the business that's super important because it also leads back down to the new business. Mm-hmm. Getting new business is always going to be more expensive and harder work than just keeping it. Right. Okay? You keep it. It's not hard to keep a relationship. Right. It's not hard to make a friend or keep a friend. Just don't stab him in the back. Don't be an ass or something, you know? Yeah. Just be a good guy or girl.
Just simple.
Simple.
Just give value and be nice.
Yeah, just be a nice guy. And everyone will like you.
Yeah. With your background in marketing, and you mentioned that marketing is one of the pillars of your business. What do you feel like is the most effective marketing method that you're using right now for your business to scale up?
Right now, social media. Because we're in a technological age where every interaction is made on our phones and on social media. Basically, social media is what is today's word of mouth advertising. So I've spent money on ads in a magazine and papers, at a restaurant during a UFC event, and it was a waste of money and a waste of time. Because there's really no way to measure the success of those campaigns, because it was difficult to say, hey, where'd you see us? I could ask them, but are they answering truthfully? Yeah. Did they see it? So went to your website. But maybe they saw my ad at Buffalo Wild Wings or in a magazine or something. But they just went, they saw that ad and then went to the website, and that's the last thing that they remember. So it was really difficult to be able to track and see if that campaign was worth the money I put into it. The way I look at right now, these days, the way I look at print advertising, it's, pardon my French, I don't know if I could curse, but it's like throwing shit on the wall and hoping some of it sticks.
Yeah.
It's pretty much what it is with print advertising. There's no way to measure it, really, and truthfully and honestly. But at least with like Google ads or Facebook ads or doing something with Instagram, there are traceable numbers, or there are elements.
There's analytics.
Analytics, that's the word. Analytics, where you can track all those things. So plus it's like before Facebook, word of mouth advertising was just within a small group of people. Yeah. But now that small group of people, where it was maybe 20, 40, is now 20,000. So that was the biggest thing. That the Facebook and Google are probably the only two things I will spend money on. Okay. But for the most part, like everything else, the only print advertising I'll spend money on are my business cards and car decals.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you just slap them on, and I've had people see my sticker out in California. So I'm like, oh, cool.
That's awesome. What are some of the nuances that you encountered within the business that you didn't expect initially?
How much I have to be. I have to wear a lot of hats. That was the biggest thing. I thought, like before, like I said earlier, I thought all I had to do is go teach and get money. I teach, you pay. I thought that was it. Simple. Yeah. But no, then there's like the hats I have to wear. I have to wear the hat of an accounting. I have to wear the hat of marketing. Wear the hat of business management. I have to wear the hat of handyman. Because I got to fix things around here when they break. Yeah. I have to play the role, wear the hat of a dad to some of these adults. I have to play the role of a psychiatrist at times. I have to play the role of a parent to some of the little kids when they're getting out of hand. But yeah, there's just the biggest nuance was just how many hats I have to wear. I came into it, I didn't realize it was going to be that much. Do I mind doing it? Not at all. Yeah. I love it. There's so many different other things I could have done with my life, but at the end of the day, I'm doing what I love. Yeah, now, so
that's great. If you were to give yourself an advice, like your younger self, let's say 10 years ago, or an entrepreneur that wants to start a business like this, what's the one advice that you feel like would be very important for them to know?
I think I have two.
Okay, two.
One, take your time. It's not going to happen quick. Don't be impatient. Two, don't go in a business with friends and family. That ruins so many relationships. We were still friends, but not the kind of friends that we were when we were growing up. Like my old partner, I've known her since I was 18. We're not on speaking terms. If I see her, I'll say hi, shake her hand. Yeah. But it's nowhere near the type of relationship we used to have. So it's definitely something I would never, if I could change something that I did, I would have told myself not to go into business with a friend.
What would be the largest cost that or expenses that comes out from opening this business?
So initially, it's always going to be the mats. That is the biggest cost.
Wow.
Yeah, so
Would have never expected that.
yeah, oh yeah. I mean, you have your other expenses like the software, the building, the lease, the insurance, and all this stuff that is already automatic.
Yeah.
You know, regardless of what industry that you go into.
Right.
But for this, these mats, that was the biggest cost. I want to say I got a quote, and this was even with a discounted rate. They want, before shipping, they wanted $23,000 just for the mats.
For one.
No, to outfit the matted area here in the back and right here. They wanted $23,000. So I was like, okay, that's a lot. I'm gonna have to sell a kidney on the black market or something. But there's other costs involved. Like, there's a lot of different smaller costs, but the biggest one was that, and that's always going to be the biggest cost for everyone getting into jiu-jitsu.
And do you have to replace these mats ever so often for the?
Yeah.
The students rip them, or they
fall?
No,
it's just like over time, just the friction, time being used. It's just like with anything. Nothing's 100% nothing 100% lasts forever. Yeah. And so eventually it has to get replaced. So. How
many years can you get out
those?
These mats?
I would say probably anywhere between. I would say 6.
Okay.
I want to say 5 to 8 years, somewhere between there.
Wow.
Yeah. Then I got to spend another big chunk of money.
Another $25,000.
Yeah.
What would you say that differentiates this business, or your business in particular, from all the other businesses?
I think what differentiates it is me. It's silly, but technically, I'm not there at those other places. I'm here. Mm-hmm. Other places teach good jiu-jitsu. They have great groups of people. Mm-hmm. But the one differentiating factor why people come and stay is, I'd like to think it's me. And the atmosphere.
The brand and the face.
Yeah, and the environment. I worked my ass off to develop. The one thing, one comment that I guess I get from visitors is just the overall vibe of everything. People like how personable I am and how personable everyone else is and how welcoming everyone is. You'll get that from other schools as well. Mm-hmm. But I think there's just something. I wish I could pinpoint it, figure it out, but there's just something that's just different. Mm-hmm. And maybe it's because it's like I don't put a dollar sign on every person. Mm. Granted, I do got to pay the bills. I got to make money. I do got to charge them, but I never make it about money with the students. The minute you start making things about money, it completely diminishes the relationship. Yeah. Which is why I have everyone on like an electronic fund transfer or EFT form where it's automatically debited, so there's no transfer of money hand to hand. So it saves my relationship because there's no financial transaction physically. Plus, I don't have to chase them down for their mortgage.
Where can the followers come to subscribe or get more information about your classes or your program?
So, best place is to jpjujitsu.com. So, that's jpjujitsu.com. I'm also on Instagram at jpagesjjcta. And I'm also on Facebook at Jay, the letter J, Pages. That's where you can find me.
And don't forget to like and subscribe our videos for further interview questions and important entrepreneur answers. And also, one more thing.
Yes.
Could you gift us a few techniques?
Yes.
Martial art techniques on Dalat.
Yes.
I'm not very dressed.
Yes.
For the viewers to see what you actually do.
Okay, of course.
Yeah, let's get going.
Sport or even self-defense, this submission is probably going to be, at least in my opinion, the best submission to go for, because it doesn't require a lot of strength. Plus, it doesn't matter how big or how small he is, strength is not going to be a factor because I'm going to choke him. Okay? So if you do an arm bar, if someone's big enough, they could curl out of it, right? Or they could throw you off of them, or they could straighten out their arm and defend whatever lock you're trying to go for. But a choke, if you get it sunk in, I don't care how big they are, they're gonna go out. Okay? So again, from like I said, like even from a self-defense standpoint, I could punch, kick, scratch, and you'll still be combat effective. If the UFC has shown us anything, the human body could take a significant amount of damage and still fight. But if I put them to sleep, so we could do it standing, or typically what happens, we're on the ground. So I'll sit down. No, sit back. Okay, so this is called a back mount. Okay, got my hooks here controlling his legs, and I have my arms around his torso. It's called a seat belt. Okay, so what I'm gonna do to get my choke, okay, there's 2 points of reference that I need to have. Okay, one, my armpit on his shoulder, and the ditch of my elbow right here in the trachea. Okay, so what I'm gonna do when I get here, I'm gonna shift my hips off to the side, so now I can get my armpit over his shoulder. So now what that does, okay, it puts my bicep on one jugular vein. Okay, when I fold my arm across to the other side, my forearm goes to the other side of the jugular vein. Okay, my left hand is always going to be controlling this arm so he doesn't spin out. Okay, so I'm here, boom, I control, get my arm over, squeeze. Okay, next I bring my arm out, put it behind his head, and then I bring my hand to my bicep here. I keep my head close, I pull my shoulders back, and I get the tap. Okay, and to make it worse, when I pull in, I pull my elbow back. That's gonna make it so.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.